We are back live. Again, thank you for joining us. Okay, here's the newscast out of Maine. This is quietly going on in every town and city. They're putting in federal fusion centers to spy on you. This is taking the local police, putting them under federal control, showing them the face scanning cameras, the license plate reading cameras, the new Pentagon control arm. And then next, they're putting local regular Army liaisons, not just National Guard, in all the major police departments, in the intelligence units, the U.S. Army, watching the American people. We were sent secret documents earlier this year that later made it in the Baltimore Sun. So, again, our story ended up breaking nationally and was confirmed that Ron Paul, myself, and others are watched by the U.S. Army. It's because we're here telling you about the New World Order. See, the private banks have hijacked America. They also happen to be eugenicists. That's their hobby. And they're on power trips. And they're using the Army to take over America. It happens in third world countries all the time. If we educate the military, though, they can't get away with it. So here's this newscast where they're selling the public that everybody's got to have the vaccine, that everybody wants the vaccine, that people are fighting to get in to get it, to create the idea that it actually helps you. Here it is.
In the town of South Paris, dozens of National Guard troops dressed in riot gear spent the day fighting off angry crowds desperately trying to get their hands on vaccinations against the H1N1 flu. At least that's what it all looked like. This was a drill, however, for guardsmen in the event of a swine flu pandemic. Steve Minnick has more from Oxford Hills High School.
Now, what you see here is a situation these National Guardsmen and police hope they never have to deal with. But there is the possibility, since Oxford Hills High School is a dispensing point for the vaccination.
During riots, you know, hey, there's the medicine, we want it now. They're going to overwhelm the local PD.
It's a what-if worst-case scenario. What if local police were not enough to quell crowds of people so panicked to get a flu shot they turn violent? Well, that is when they call in the National Guard.
We're treating every situation as it's actually happening. We try to train as we fight, we say in the military.
You guys to be loud and boisterous. All right, cause some confusion.
This drill's designed to look and feel as realistic as possible.
Okay, that's
right
enough.
Down to the actual...
Because I got to cover the rest of the news and get the calls. You can watch the whole video clip up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com right now. But the issue here is this is also a psyop for the troops. Troops have been refusing smallpox and anthrax shots. The military says, you've got to. You don't have rights. But then we educated the troops that it's an experimental shot. So they can't even force troops to take an experimental shot. So it's also meant to make the troops think it's something great everybody wants. I've been to FEMA camp drills where they practice confiscating your guns, taking your children, breaking up your families, putting you in death camps, basically. It's in my film, Police Day 2000. And the Marines, in that drill, the American people were begging to be let into the camp. See, psychologists write all this up to make it so the troops are like, Americans want to be in camps. Now they're having Marines and Army, regular Marines, in Tennessee, California, all over the country. Mainstream news articles are up on our site. We've had state reps on from those states about it. The Marines set up random checkpoints searching people. And they say, oh, we're looking for drunk drivers. You're not for drunk driving, are you? When the local newspaper was like, doesn't that violate federal law? The Marines said, we'll do whatever we can to stop drunk drivers. Like Chief Art Acevedo will take your blood to stop it. And now we got to be federalized to stop crime. And again, it's all rationale and all an excuse as the United States goes into receivership. The good news is the people are waking up. The good news is the Governors Association, the Hill newspaper reports, the big D.C. paper, governors oppose DOD emergency powers. A bipartisan governors is opposing a new Defense Department proposal to handle natural and terrorism-related disasters, contending that the murky chain of command could lead to more problems. You actually read the letter. They say it's the end of posse comitatus, a takeover. In fact, Congressman Brown, who we're getting on next week, was even more specific. Obama could use pandemic to declare martial law. A letter sent by the National Governors Association to the Pentagon last week also echoed that. And he says domestic emergency deployment may be just the first example of a series of expansions in presidential and military authority, or even an increase in domestic surveillance, warned Anna Christensen of the ACLU. They agreed. Here's what Congressman Brown said to the paper. They're trying to develop an environment where they can take over, he said. We've seen that historically. This is Congressman Brown, Ron Paul, Alex Jones, the Governors Association. It's real. And they're going to use the flu as their cover. Unless we expose them, then their program will stop. Ladies and gentlemen, every other country falls to tyranny. Russia, China, Germany. Germany was more democratic in many respects, more upright people. And look what happened to them with Hitler. All it takes is crises and a bad economy, and it's over. And ladies and gentlemen, they have White House enemy list. They say, tell us if anybody says things fishy about the president, report on your neighbors. And as if that isn't bad enough, the progressives reporting, the AP's reporting, but of course they're reporting it's good, the AP is. The Pentagon wants authority to post 400,000 military personnel in the U.S. The Pentagon has gone to Congress to grant the Secretary of Defense the authority to post 400,000. They already announced Homeland brigades, 5 brigades, 20,000. But now, to, quote, engage and, quote, pull triggers on the American people. And see, I said I'd take your calls. We got a guest coming up. We're calling Australia, right? Why don't you just call him? It's early in the morning anyways for him. What is it, 5 in the morning? Just call him now and say we're going to call him 10 after. That way we can get to the calls, because there's no way I can cover all this and not jam in some calls. I want to finish up with this martial law subject, then get into their global religion of eugenics and the cap and trade. Thank you, gentlemen. The Pentagon wants authority to post almost 400,000 military personnel in the U.S. And this is Congress. Taken together, these reserve units would amount to more than 379,000 military personnel in thousands of communities across the United States. They want them deployed in your town. I mean, Red Dawn, troops standing around to make sure the Tea Parties and the American people, they knew you'd rebel against all this. So they've been building this architecture, saying it was for Al-Qaeda. Now they go, oh, no, DHS says it's for gun owners, conservatives, returning veterans. You're the number one threat. You are what Homeland Security are set up for. Do you understand the magnitude of what we're dealing with as a society? Folks, everything I told you was real. All these years. I mean, I would go interview the police chief of San Antonio, where the Delta Force came and tried to bribe him in his office just to be friends and help him with covert ops. They were just there to make the deal so he would work with them in the future on narcotics trafficking, but he didn't go along with it. I don't think even the chief of police knew that, but later that came out. Folks, the government is a criminal enterprise now, wholly owned subsidiary of offshore banks. All right. I mean, I found out about this stuff in 98, 99, and people would laugh at me. This is real. This is real. The Governors Association, congressmen saying what I'm saying. What's happened is the governors are finally reading the John Warner Defense Authorization Act that states Northcom's main job is suppressing state legislatures and governors. Yeah, Abraham Lincoln type stuff. But there's no excuse of ending slavery this time. So that's what's going on. And you notice Obama keeps calling himself Abraham Lincoln. Okay, I want to spend 2 minutes on the Joker situation. Then we're going to come back, take calls after the news on the martial law situation, the flu situation, and then get a expert on about the carbon tax. But I have never launched something this effective. I mean, I've made films that have been seen by 30, 40, 50 million people, depending on the film. We wrote the book on InfoWar, on going and taking over city hall meetings, county commissioner meetings, on guerrilla information warfare that you now see taking over everything. It just made sense to us as the way to get the attention out was to get to news conferences, get to things, get the info out. And I'm very proud of that. But I've never had anything this fast, this successful. There have been in hundreds of cities, in some cases thousands of Obama Joker posters put up by my listeners from that little contest. So I'll briefly, when we get back, tell you about that and the incredible attack on the First Amendment, dealing with this. The state of Florida now has the Attorney General investigating. You know, they don't investigate the Florida CPS run by pedophiles on record. We have links to that up on InfoWars. All they're looking into is how evil. They're even saying it's bad to put it on a wooden post. But they didn't care about all the Obama signs when he told the Washington Post readers to post his image up on stop signs. Remember that during the campaign? We're not saying do anything uncivil. Our contest says do it in commons areas where other posters are. But they say no. You can post other posters, just not ours. People are standing up against it.